What's the value proposition for sports fans?
So for sports fans, this goes back to a conversation Peter Griffin and I had back in January. Peter and I were part of the core team that started Rivals.com. And we were talking about our use of Twitter. And we said, we really like Twitter, except Peter said, hey, I saw that you were out grilling Alaskan salmon in your backyard. And he said, so, like, I'm one of your best friends, and I only marginally care about that. And to be honest, I don't care about that at all. So, like, and we were talking about, well, what is the value of a lot of this conversation? So if I see somebody say I had a grilled cheese sandwich for lunch, well, who cares? If you're a sports fan, but we came to the conclusion, sports fans really want to see discussions about their favorite teams. If you're a Phoenix Suns fan, you want to see discussions about the Phoenix Suns, and really not about everything else. So the value proposition is all the best news, blog posts, and fan discussions from all around the web for all your favorite teams, so your favorite teams, all in one place. Nothing like it existed that we could find, so we decided to build it ourselves. So by sports fans, for sports fans.
That's great. I'm going to start with you, Don, on this, but I'd ask everyone to chime in. How it is the million or billion dollar question. How do we make money on Twitter? Okay, if we're involved, are we doing this because it's great exposure and it's fun? Is there any financial angle here? Where do you feel this is headed?
There's lots of financial angles, and lots of people are making money on Twitter right now. Seemingly everybody except for Twitter itself is making money on Twitter right now. But they actually do have revenue coming in. The interesting thing about Twitter, again, is the social proof and the social value with each, and whether it has a dollar value attached to it or not, everything is a transaction on Twitter. I think of everything that you put into Twitter is a transaction. You're putting, even if it has no, you're saying, I just had a grilled cheese sandwich. Most people aren't going to care that you had a grilled cheese sandwich, but Kraft might care that you just had a grilled cheese sandwich, right? So the opportunity there to insert yourself in conversations where you never could have inserted yourself before, while some people might not like it, is there, and you can always leave Twitter if you want.
But that's still a virtual example. I'm asking you specifically, how are people, you said lots of companies are making money doing this, everyone except Twitter. What are some examples?
The biggest examples are, the marketing campaigns that are going on right now. So trying to think, Snickers right now is running some ice cream bar examples or ice cream bar campaigns that they give away coupons for Snickers ice cream bars, and as that they're converting people into customers. I mean, you get a $1 off coupon, you go buy it in a store, you're converting. So while I can't give you an exact dollar value of what they're earning for that, they could if they wanted to. They could tell you what the conversion rate is for that campaign. And there's a lot of those campaigns going on right now.
John, you asked us to jump in. And
I did.
And as a business person, it seems like the natural right question to ask. How are companies making money? And as I look at it, I really think it's social media. And it's I think a lot of companies should look at how do you put the social back in social media. I believe so much of real time and so much of Twitter and so much of Facebook, if you're a business, I think if you look at it purely from how do you make money, I think you might be missing the real opportunity. The real opportunity is how do you form relationships with your customers? And if you can form deep relationships with your customers, then you can make money. I'll give you an example. The CEO of Zappos.com. Does everyone know Zappos? Tony Hsieh just sold his company to Amazon for like $1.something billion. Well, Tony Hsieh is a master of developing relationships with customers through social media such as Twitter. I'll give you one example. So I was following Tony Hsieh like 2 years ago. They're headquartered in Las Vegas, and Tony put onto his Twitter stream, hey, if you're a fan of Zappos, if you like our company, we're having our company picnic on Sunday. Come on over. Like, how cool is that when the company CEO invites all their customers to their company picnic? And even though I didn't go to that, that left an impression on me that he cared about his customers. And that's, I can tell you, I buy from Zappos, in part because of the relationship I feel like I have with the company. So I think if you can form relationships with your customers, oftentimes the money can come from that.
Another really good concrete example of that is the Comcast Cares account, who he kind of defined we're establishing relationships with our customers over Twitter. And I actually had a problem with my Comcast internet, and I contacted Comcast. They couldn't help the traditional support. They wouldn't help. I started complaining on Twitter. He responded to me from home while he was watching Star Trek and said, let me see if I can help you out. And within an hour, he had the problem fixed, which would have taken days otherwise. And I hated Comcast up until that point. He turned me into someone who actually marginally can tolerate Comcast now. So
you'd say you would say that's a retention example.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Jeramie, from the standpoint of the Suns, besides the outreach and the public relations, any sort of intangible financial advantage so far to what you're doing?
Well, as I mentioned, we've had some of the tweet ups at games, so we have sold blocks of tickets. We've done some special ticket offers, one day only type things on Twitter. But I think for us, as you guys mentioned, it's really about growing our fan base, creating that buzz, getting people more excited about our games, making sure they know that our games are on TV, giving them kind of that peek behind the curtain and tidbits, anecdotes, and notes from practices or road trips or games so that they feel like they know our team better, they're more connected with our players, and really want to follow us, not only on Twitter, but follow our games. And hopefully they'll tune in to our games on ESPN, and hopefully they'll come out to our next home game when they get a chance to get a little free money. And so it's really about growing that fan base and spreading the Suns' passion.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Robbie, you have an opinion on this?
I'm a web startup. I don't really care about making money. No, we also have to think that, part of it is definitely the relationship angle. I mean, there's a lot of companies that benefited from that. But, we're just really a year into this. I mean, Twitter went along for 2 or 3 years and didn't have critical mass. And then all of a sudden, it's been less than a year, it has critical mass. And so part of it is we're still figuring this out as we go along. Are sponsored tweets going to be an answer? Who knows? I mean, there's some backlash to that. Obviously, the relationship angle will continue to be, harnessed, I think, from a lot of companies. But I think, the best is yet to come in terms of how will people actually make money, not even just off of Twitter, but in social media in general.
Okay. You're doing some interesting things with visualizations and different treatments of stats. Talk a little bit about your company, where you see it headed.
Yeah, and it's specifically around real time. A lot of people think about real time and Twitter and social media as mainly around the conversation or their interactions between people. I think about everything in terms of sports stats. So I look at Twitter and I think, well, how can I integrate sports stats into Twitter? And then that's where I came up with StatSheet, which is what I was talking about before that eventually got suspended. I'm developing a new platform that, because Twitter wasn't very conducive to supporting a new type of content, aka real-time sports stats, I'm developing my own. And so that's one of the directions that I'm taking my company is, you can't think of Twitter and Facebook as being the only real-time platforms, because right now they're really only conducive to maybe the social interactions, maybe news, blogs, that kind of thing. But there's a whole nother set of real-time information that's going on that we've yet to really integrate into the real-time stream. And so that's one of the things, again, from a sports stats perspective, that I'm looking to take advantage of. There's other nice attributes of sports stats. It's location aware. Stats typically happen somewhere like in an arena, so you can find out things geographically relevant to you. So I think that's just one example, and you'll start to see more as sort of the real-time web evolves over the next few years. You'll see more of these sources of information where they don't fit real well in the typical models that we have today, like Twitter and Facebook. So you'll see these other platforms start to come out.